Welcome to Whiskey and Walleye Radio. I'm David Chapman. This is a place where we are going to have guests on that are really good at chasing down walleye. Hopefully, we'll all learn from them. And tonight, we've got someone really special on, a guy who's not only backed up what he's done on the water, on the biggest stage, but he's also one heck of a guy, Tom Huynh.
How's it going, Dave?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you having me, man, on your first show.
It's our first show. We talked about it and went, man, what better guest to have? So we're truly honored to have you, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to make the time, and just it's going to be awesome, and hope to help you grow your audience as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. I noticed that you're a guy who's crunched for time, so we appreciate it. Every time I look, you're headed to Washington, and you're headed down to the Vexus dealer meeting, and you're headed to Suzuki. That's crazy. So it's good that you're staying busy with everything and the university. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you, man? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Arkansas. My dad is an immigrant from Vietnam, came over here in the mid-'70s, and he's been in the United States now for almost 50 years. It's crazy. And my mom side of the family, my mom was born in Arkansas. My grandpa was from the New England area, up in the Pennsylvania stuff area. Came down to Arkansas, started a small little cattle farm, which is a little hobby farm, but it's what they used to pay the bills, as my mom was growing up and everything. And that's where I grew up, there on that cattle farm. Went to school there, graduated with I think 26, 27 kids, a really small class. And ended up, while I was down there, we didn't have the cell phones, all that stuff the kids do now. We didn't have a lot, but what we did have, my grandpa, because of the cattle, built a few farm ponds, and he stocked them. He'd go to the co-op and stock them with little catfish, bass, bluegill, and that was the thing to do, is just after school or on the weekends, go up to the pond bank and fish. And somehow, even years of doing that from when I was a little kid all the way through high school, developed a passion of always just wanting to be out there. And I knew I was never going to catch a monster, but always wanted to be out there. And then I went to college, ended up moving to Minnesota, came to start my career, which has nothing to do with what I went to college for. I went to college for computer information systems, and then ended up my career as fingernails. I have fingernail salons in Fargo, North Dakota, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. But that's what gave me the path to jump in buy my first boat. The first boat I bought was the first boat I ever set foot into in my 30s. I never fished out of a boat before that, and that's just my upbringing into fishing in a nutshell. But again, that's, I think, the reason for my quick success on the tournament trails and things like that, is because I didn't have those bad habits. I didn't have anybody to teach me. I just looked at my electronics, studied the fish, understood what they wanted, what they didn't want, and just kind of went from there. And so that's what put me basically on this path. Entered my first tournament, and the rest is history. Basic walleye tournament. I fished some bass tournaments where I got my teeth kicked in throughout the country as far as fishing some of those Bassmaster Opens, but that also gave me the desire to keep wanting to learn, because I always wanted to compete, but it's an expensive way to compete when you're losing all the time.
So one question I had for you was, did you play any sports growing up?
Basketball. I was a growing up too. Again, I was the first person in my family to join any sports. My dad, coming from Vietnam, they don't have that luxury over there. They play soccer in the streets and stuff over there, but they don't have that luxury. My and being from a small school, we had baseball and basketball. And so I played basketball, and we, my junior and senior year of high school were the only 2 years, I believe, that our school had ever been to the state tournament and advanced on the state tournament. We were, it was fun. That competitive edge has always been there, but basketball now, there's not a chance I could. I couldn't even win a game of horse, I don't think.
I was just wondering, because it seems like a lot of the guys that, no matter what it is, there's that competitive edge. You got to have that, almost that switch to turn on, hunger to be at the top. So I'm just curious about that. I didn't know that coming into this, but I figured I'd ask. And
actually, that's the first time I've been asked that. I've been on quite a few of these. That's the first time. That's a good question. It's a good point, though.
For sure. So you grew up, and then you moved to Minnesota. So I got to drop Wolverton. That's the one thing that I was like, Wolverton, it's a town at like 80 people, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it just so happens my fiance is from there, grew up there. Shout out to Stephen Moe. That's her.
Okay.
But yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, what? No way. How small is it, So that's really cool. That's cool. Yeah. And then the nail salons, what got you into that?
When I first moved up here, the first person I met, I didn't know anybody when I moved up. And the first person I met, it was in a lot of my went to school with her, and so anytime we study after school, it was in her parents' nail salons.
Okay.
And so I was able to, and went in there, and she would reception. We would sit right behind, reception desk there, and study, get our homework done. And her parents were going to expand their nail salon, and her dad knew I was working, like temp jobs, not even part-time jobs, but just temp jobs. At that time, weirdly, it was hard to find any kind of jobs at that time. And so I was working these temporary jobs. If it was an office building that needed cleaned out, if it was any just random stuff for like a day at a time, even, I was trying to do it. But he was like, "You want to do fingernails?" I'm like, no. Well, I mean, I'm never going to be able to talk to my friends at home in Arkansas again. But that was me at 19 years old, narrow-minded, small town attitude type thing. But a few months passed, they were about to open, and he's like, if you work for us, till you're done with college, you work for us as many hours as you can while you're going through college. As long as you get your college degree and work for us during that time, you don't have to pay us back for nail schooling. And he was going to pay for my nail schooling over the summer. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And from just being in the salon, those few hours a day or a few hours a week, just seeing, I was like, dang, there's potential here. There's money potential here. So I did it. And honestly, it's the best thing I could have done. Like, I ended up being good at it, quick at it. After 7 years of working for them, he actually helped me open my first salon. And so I was just been able to, I worked in my own salons for 15, 16 years, open to close, every day of the week, basically built them up. And then when it came time to be like, you know what, I want to do something for myself, is when I went and bought that first boat, and a few years later entered my first tournament. But
yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. So I didn't know you actually did nails. So you have probably the nicest nails on tour. Is it fair to say that?
Probably.
All right.
Probably. Yeah. Hey man, I get once tournament season starts though, all that crawler juice gets up under them. So, not much you can do about that.
Exactly. Well, cool, man. Let's talk a little bit about fishing. How fast did you see success when you started fishing the NWT?
Quick. Because coming into it, so honestly, like in 2020, when I fished that first AIM tournament, I didn't know what I was getting into. I did know what I was getting into, or at least I thought I did. I thought Nate and I were going to go in there and get our butts whooped. My actual conversation with Nate after, deciding to enter that Leech Lake tournament, and we got into that tournament super luckily, like last minute, called the tournament director, said, hey, I want to get in. He's like, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. He goes, well, these two older gentlemen just backed out because of COVID. And so there's one spot open. And so I was like, well, we'll take it. And if that wouldn't have happened, I don't think we'd be talking today. It's kind of weird how everything worked out. But anyway, I get into that tournament. I'd already fished some bass tournaments before that and, didn't do very well in. This is before I had forward-facing sonar when I fished the bass tournaments. But between that, when I fished the bass tournaments, upgraded my boat, COVID hit, but when I upgraded my boat, the Garmin live scope and everything was on it, right?
Yeah.
So I took that time off of COVID. My salons were shut down for 7 weeks. Took that time off. It was stressful. I just went fishing. And literally I was so captivated by what my screen was showing me. But in my head, I'm thinking that I'm a nobody. All these top pros, people who've been fishing for a while, have already got this all dialed in. So this is, I'm behind the 8 ball already. So, but little did I know, I told Nate, like, we're going to go fish this tournament. It's going to be fun. I said, plus I told Nate, the best part about this, nobody knows who we are. So when we get our butts kicked, nobody's going to know. Nobody's ever going to think of us again. So, because I was just trying to prepare him too. Like, dude, people don't do good in tournaments. It's a lucky deal. So we enter that tournament, we win it handily, win it, and then we fished the second one, got a 4th place. That third one that year, we fished the MWC because there was no more AIM tournaments. It was done for the year, and we didn't get in for the first couple. Otherwise, we probably would have won Team of the Year on our first year. But fished that MWC. That was our first 2-day live weigh tournament. We won that tournament, set the lake record. And we still didn't know very many people other than the people we followed on YouTube trying to learn how to walleye fish. But people were paying attention because they're like, who are these two guys in this bass boat who are doing so well all of a sudden? As soon as I set foot off that stage at the Masters Walleye Circuit on Cass Lake that year, if you Google that tournament and Google Nate and I's name, you'll see one picture. Usually there's a bunch of pictures, that they take after. There's one picture because as soon as my feet hit that grass, I was taken away for a polygraph. Oh, yeah. And because people, I get it though.
Fishing, yeah, for sure.
People are like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah.
But looking back, Nate and I noticed live scope on over 80% of people's boats at that time. They just weren't utilizing it, or they weren't utilizing it correctly. But first year on the NWT, getting back to that question, it was right away I could see some success. Where I didn't see success were the rivers, right? I'd never even been on a river before, but I held my own that year, made it to the championship that first year, and finished second in the championship in 2021 on an ottertail. And people were like, it was funny because people on podcasts and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, he did well in those AIM tournaments. He's just going to jump in the NWT for this one season because the championship's on his home body of water. Yeah. I'm like, I've never fished ottertail in my life, barely fished walleyes ever in my life. So that's not why I jumped in. But I'm still here. But it was quick because I was onto something at the time that really not too many other people were, like a live scope on the trolling motor, for example. But not just that, how efficient and fast I was moving and dialing it in. Again, because I didn't have to learn trolling. I didn't have to learn any of the other stuff. My focus was just on one thing, basically.
Yeah. So you were never a cranker. You were just right onto the live scope, and that's where we're at. It makes sense. Makes sense for sure. So 2024, you want to walk us a little bit through 2024, the year, just real quick, qualifying for the championship, and then obviously ultimately, hoisting the trophy at the end of that season.
Yeah, 2024. I can't even remember what our first tournament was, but it was on the river somewhere. Had to have been. But anyway, 2024 was crazy because all those tournaments that was a very solid year for me. I've had a few very solid, top 10, top 5 Angler of the Year tournaments. And that 2024 was crazy because I didn't think that, because some of these waters were giant that we were going to. Green Bay, I had a 100-mile run each way for 2 days in Green Bay, for example. And that tournament, we can only keep 3 fish because there was a bunch of, I don't know, tournaments, it can be some drama and stuff. People are like, oh, who's going to catch the 3 fish? Who's going to, if it's 5 fish, is it this and that? I'm like, come on, let's just do it like we've always done it. Catch our 5 and go on. You know what I mean? Come on. But anyway, they said 3 fish, which is fine with me too. I don't care. The rules are the rules. I'm going to go catch the 3 biggest fish I can catch that day. But that tournament, if I remember right, I had those long runs. I didn't have very much time to fish, and I only had like an hour and a half, 2 hours to fish each day. But I told myself, like, if I do get a limit, I'm going to win this thing handily, And I caught 3 fish total that tournament, and I think I came in like 14th or 17th place. So I don't know, if I had 3 giants, and if I would have had 3 more, I would have won that tournament. But it's, just part of that gamble. It was a bunch of big water that year. And then going into the championship, I thought it was, too far out of the points because sure, you got Hunter Nitty, Dylan Nussbaum up there with me. And I'm like, Nitty had a awesome season. And when I was doing the math, and I'm like, okay, so I need to be 9 points. I think it was 9 points ahead of Nitty, which is a tall order because that's 9 places ahead of somebody. Mm-hmm. So after the first 2 days, I'm like, all right, and everybody was predicting these high weights in that Lake Huron tournament. They were like, we're going to need 25 to 30 pounds. That's all I was hearing. And in my practices, dude, I never saw 17 pounds. Right?
Yeah.
No. And in my pre-tournament interview with the NWT for television, they asked me my weights, and the interviewer was like, that's it? I said, yeah, I think 17 pounds a day is going to get somebody in the cut. And he's like, that's the lowest I've heard. And I said, I know that worries me, but at the same time, I've pre-fished hard out here, and that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
And day 1, go out, catch 16. I think it was 16 even. Day 2, catch a little over 18. So where's that average? 17 pounds. Yeah. And then I fished the same spot 3 days in a row. But during practice, I noticed where most of the other guys were fishing, which was 80 to 90 miles from where I was, all of those fish were hightailing it south. Every single fish that I marked on forward-facing sonar out in that deep water were moving one direction at a certain speed. And I'm like, ideally, if a perfect fairy tale scenario pans out and these fish keep moving, by the time the tournament rolls around, those fish should be funneled down to where I fished the tournament. So the first 2 days were pretty much on par, but the first day was 16, was on par for my practice, right? Day 2 is 18 something, and I'm like, maybe they're coming. Day 3, as soon as I put that trolling motor down, I instantly knew it. I told my co-angler, like, dude, they're here.
So hold on a second. Sorry to cut you off. I'm a numbers guy, but were you tracking the speed of these fish and then calculating the miles they had to cover?
Yep, I was. So at first I was going to pull my trolling motor up after practice one day where everybody was fishing over this deep water out in front of Alpena. And right when I was about to pull my trolling motor up, I see another school come under me, and anything I caught out there was small. And I'm like, I don't think it's worth it. But at the same time, this other school started coming, and I'm like watching it, and the wind was pushing me a little bit, and I started following it again. I'm like, you know what? I'm following these fish the same exact direction every time I find a school. And I'm like, then I start following them, and I see they were going like 2.5 miles an hour ish, because that's how fast I had to follow them. And I was like, well, theoretically. And then that lake is wide. It's like the ocean. And then as it got down towards Saginaw Bay, it funnels down. When I say funnel now, I'm still talking, it's pretty wide. but it funnels down to about maybe 8 to 10 miles wide. But even at that, it's not just funneling. People look at the funnel going from shore to shore. It's also funneling from hundreds of feet of water down to 30. Oh, so you got all of that whole funnel is like a cone, if you want to call it that. And then they're coming. So I was thinking like maybe they're going to be there. And by 9:30 that morning, me and my co-angler were already heading in. And that was in a cold tournament. But I had so many issues that morning. Number one, right away when I put that trolling motor down, I've barely ever said this on a podcast, but right when I put the trolling motor down, my foot pedal for my trolling motor was spazzing out. Like I could not control the head of my trolling motor. I'm like, that's my lifeline. I admit it to everybody that life scope is my lifeline. And I'm like, what's going on here? But here's the funny thing. The day two, nothing wrong with that pedal. I've never had an issue with the trolling motor pedal. Day two, at the end of the day, it was working perfectly. And then right away on day three, instantly, it was spazzing out. Crazy. How does that happen? I have no idea. Number two, my drags on my reels were all tightened down. When you're banging through waves, get somewhere, they loosen up, right? Mm-hmm. They loosen up. They don't tighten up. They were tightened up. My Suzuki engine would only get 4,200 RPMs that morning. I've never had a Suzuki problem. After the whole tournament was over, I took it in. Head Suzuki tech from the region came out. Couldn't find any issues. I ended up taking the boat out, running it completely out of gas, putting new gas in, perfectly fine.
Man, you're just up against it.
But I switched out a trolling motor pedal on the water in giant waves, and I somehow I carry a spare of everything because I'm crazy in my boat. And so I had my co-angler. I'm like, dude, I'm unscrewing the pedal. Yep. And I'm like, there's a box back there, a Garmin box, pull it out for me. He's like, he dug it out. He's like, you have a spare foot pedal in here? I'm like, nobody has that. Do. Yeah. And then I had to like, okay, how do I pair this thing? I forgot how to even, to make it work with my trolling motor. I did all of that on the water, and I'm one of the only ones that admit on the NWT that I get seasick. You know what I mean? That's like a thing people give me a hard time for, but I'm down there doing all of that, like getting all that done, and ended up catching 3 more fish after that. And we just went in because I'm like, dude, something's going on here today. I don't want to
let's count our blessings, right?
Anymore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just a weird deal, but that was awesome. After 9:30, 9:45, I asked my co-angler, and I'm like, what does our scale say? And my back was to him, and he said 24. It shows 24 something. And I'm like, dude, my eyes start watering. I'm like getting emotional. I'm like, did I just do this? And I'm thinking win the tournament. So I think, okay, at this point, I have a chance to win the tournament. In my head, I still think, so Hunter made the cut. Mm-hmm. So for me to make it 9 points ahead of him, he would have to finish in 9th or 10th, right? Yeah. And that to me was like not going to happen. And he just went out like all of us do sometimes. He went out and played conservative, which I would have done the same thing. And coming in, I weighed in, that he weighed in right after me, I think. And then he just kept going down a little bit. I'm like, maybe. And sure enough, he finished 9th where I thought he needed to be, but that was for a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a tie. He won that tiebreaker, which is awesome. I was super happy for him. He had a phenomenal season, but that was unbelievable there, to be able to study those fish with forward-facing sonar during practice, and then get out in front of them and kind of just wait for them. And it could have happened during that first day, and it would have been huge, or it could have happened the day after the tournament, and I would have came in with 16 pounds a day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
you just made your best. You just basically just made your best guess, an educated guess on where they're going to be, and it paid off.
Yep. Because I wasn't seeing 25, 30 pounds like people were saying they're catching. And I'm like, I'm not going to go chase somebody else's fish. I'm not going to go chase, where the crowds are fishing. I just got to go where I saw the best fish, and that's what I advise people to do too. Forget about the dock talk. Forget do what you are confident with and do what you think is the best that you've seen in pre-fish. Go do your own thing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So then 2024, championship, take it down. And this last year, obviously I was rooting for you, and
sure, thank you.
Yeah, you do it again, man. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that's to win it once, right? Like these are fishing tournaments, right?
Yeah.
They're the guys that, there you are in 2024, taking it down. There's guys that, can win a tournament, right? Now they got to be good to win a tournament, period. Right? Yeah. You got to be a good fisherman to win a tournament. But maybe they don't follow it up with anything, or maybe it's their one and only win, right? Because the odds are stacked against you to win. They really are. You got these NWT tournaments, they got 85, 90, 100 boats, whatever it is, right? And to best those, that amount of people is tough. So then you follow it up in 2025 and you do the same thing again. Tell us about 2025. Was 2025 better? Was 2024 better? What do you think?
Well, as seasons go, my 2025 started surprisingly well because we were on a true river up in Pierre, South Dakota, and got super lucky. I'll say that. Like I fished one spot for 2 days of the tournament where a bunch of fish were filtering through, and we were weighing fish, hoping they were 1.5 pounds. That's how bad it was, right? But I was thinking, like, there has to be a 3-pounder that comes through at some point, so why not just stay here in this spot as these fish cycle through every couple hours or so? Just stay here and they'll come, whatever. We caught fish steady throughout the day. My co-angler ended up catching a 5-pounder, which was unbelievable. I think it was the third biggest fish of the tournament, and ended up finishing in the top 10, which I was shooting for top 40, honestly. Like, that would have been a dream. But him catching that fish was huge for me there. And then, going to, we went to Green Bay again. No, that was for the championship. But we went out to Erie, and that again too, it's just about staring at your screen, picking. There you can actually pick out your fish or look at a whole bunch of fish, but then you need the discipline to only cast at the right ones. People see so many fish and they just want to cast, but in a tournament situation, it's a waste of time. When you're fun fishing, I can't ever say any cast is a waste. It's just fun, But so as seasons go, altogether, I had my best season all put together was 2024. 25, it was my best season to stay. I fished way more disciplined this year. Actually, I forced myself to do exactly that. Only cast at fish that I knew were worthy of being tournament fish. Except for that first tournament in Pierre. You can't actively single out a single fish and cast at a single fish when you have true live river current. It's just not efficient. So go ahead.
Yeah, South Dakota, there's no coal, right? Like, you have to decide, are you going to keep the fish or not, right?
Yep.
I mean, you go to Erie, you can coal, right? So here it's a lot different, so I get how that pressure could be there. But.
Yep. Yeah. And so it was a good season going out to Green Bay for the championship. It was interesting because my buddy Sean Grams, who traveled with me to every tournament last year, he doesn't even fish as co-angler. He just comes with me to support me and just to be there with me every single day, throwing a different bait when I need to sit down and do some emails or messages or something. He's up on the front looking for fish. It's awesome to have him with me, and for somebody to commit time away just to come fish pre-fish and not fish the tournament, that's awesome. Yeah, that's but really cool. In pre-fish, we went out there and we didn't catch a full limit any day we were out there pre-fishing. We would catch, there was not of tournament size fish anyway. There was a time we'd get on a small school and we were just need something to do, so we'd catch some smaller walleyes, but of tournament size fish, I'm talking 4 or 5 pound plus. We never caught a limit of big fish, but we covered a lot of water in the same court area. It was a big area, but Green Bay is also giant. But we found where these fish were related, where gobies weren't just attacking and devouring my bait, right? So, but the fish weren't just loaded, stacked up, whatever you want to call it. But when we did see a fish, it was a big one. But in practice, if we found one or two in an area, we just left. So in a tournament is when I'll just focus. I'll stay on one spot all day or one area all day. And so day one of that tournament, went out and had a dream day. I was, with the weather coming in and everything, I was thinking 25 to 30 pounds would be really sufficient. Ended up coming in with 43. And I'm like, yeah, I just could not believe it. Like, and my co-angler too, Gary, super nice guy. He was, I was bringing in these fish, and I wasn't even weighing them that first day because I'm like, this is big. I didn't see this in practice. And I'm putting in live well, and once they go in the live well, you can't take them out there.
Okay.
And so, yep. And so we were done early in the day, but Gary, he never really showed much emotion that first day. And I'm like, started guessing myself. I'm like, these are pretty good sized fish. He goes, yeah, I think so. And with the over 8 pound average, that's really good. But that's all we caught that day. So he didn't have a bearing. And after catching some in practice too, our minds kind of play tricks on us. Sure. So I came in with that. Day 2 was a blow day. And then day 3 went out, and kind of my worst fear was true. That whole area that I was fishing, the water temp skyrocketed down 7 degrees. And the fish, there's no life, no walleyes, no sheephead, no minnows, nothing. And so what I talked about earlier, like why this year was more efficient, is because like I went through my pass, and I streamed that live that day. I went through my pass, nothing. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then I was like, well, my second good pass is up here. So I get on my big motor, and I couldn't go fast because of the waves, but I went up to my second spot, went through that pass, didn't mark a single fish. And in my head, I'm thinking, Tom, go back through those spots again. Like, just go through them again. Because I had nothing else really. But then in my head, I'm thinking like, dude, no, you can't go through there again because you're good at this. You just went through and you didn't mark a minnow. Why are you going to waste time and do it again? Yeah. So that's why I just sit down behind my steering wheel, go straight the direction the wind was blowing for days, and get a couple miles away or so and look at my 2D and just notice. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. The temperature had gone up like 4 or 5 degrees. I'm like, huh. So then I just put the trolling motor down, started looking around, and immediately saw some fish, like minnows or something. Started going around, caught a 4-pounder walleye. And I'm like, I held that thing over the side of the boat for probably a minute in the water thinking, am I going to put that in the live well? Because I was getting nervous. It already been a few hours. Yeah. Didn't catch a fish yet. And I'm like, should I put it in there? Should I put it in the live well? What do you think, Gary? He goes, it's up to you. I ended up throwing it back in the water, thankfully. And the camera guy was actually with us during that time. We ended up finding up the pattern, and the structure that I was fishing was actually the wall of warm water, which is invisible. So as I was like working with the wind, the water temp got warmer a little, barely. And then as I would start for boat control, working against the wind, or if I'd see some fish and pass them, I'd go turn around and try to go against the wind, which was tough because barely moving. But as I was going against the wind, I noticed that the water temp would really, at a certain point, would start plummeting again. And I'm like, huh. So if you look at my tracks on my graph, it looks like a spiral because I was like working that wall, that wall. And that wall was where the highest concentration of fish were. And then do it again. We didn't catch any fish right away for a few hours. I was convincing myself, dude, you're going to zero today. Went from that to getting back to the dock 2.5, 3 hours early. You know, that it happened that fast that I caught those 38, whatever it was that day.
Yeah.
And got back to the dock, and thankfully it was enough. And the two guys I was worried about was Isaac Lockich and Eric McCoy, because they do a lot of fishing out there. And like, if anybody's going to know where these fish are going, it's going to be them. Yeah. Sure enough, Isaac scared me a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. No, it's really cool just digging into the, what you have to be, your level of knowledge and what it has to be, and just the awareness in those moments, because the pressure's there and you got such a limited window of time to make the decisions and recognize those patterns. That's really cool. Yeah. That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about the, NWT just the other day announced that, 2027 is going to be qualifying, right? Mm-hmm. Got to qualify to be on the tour. Regular guys like me that want to fish a tournament just can't do it. So we got to earn our keep and find a way to get on there. How do you feel about that? I mean,
well, you got to fish it this year.
What's that?
You have to fish it this year, then.
I'm going to fish the Mobridge event. Me having a full-time job. That's what I can swim. But I'm looking forward to it, competing against guys like you, just because there's just so much to learn, and I just want to feel like what it's like to compete against the top level. That's it.
Yep, for sure. And the whole new format, I'm all for it. Just for a change, something where, I'm really easygoing as far as, how they want to structure these tournaments. I'm gonna fish them, right? I'm only gonna fish tournaments probably another few more years, but I mean, like, I'm just gonna fish what's out there. I'm gonna fish the best circuit out there and just concentrate on that. But I kind of like, I don't know, maybe there's something I'm overlooking here, but I like the format. I like the fact we have to qualify. Just to see, like, it'll get more interest this year, I think, because people, like you just said, we don't have a chance. We have a slim chance now, but this year is people's chance to, anybody can get in, try to qualify in the top there and fish in 2027. But I think it's a good way to make this series a little bit more professional. Now, if they're going to make this step, I just hope they don't get complacent and be like, okay, this is good. Do it for a couple years, but then still try to grow that, like the Bassmaster Elites did with the Opens. I mean, that's far-fetched, but maybe. I mean, do something where it just grows like that. It's good for growing the sport of walleye fishing because it's been stagnant. And I'm just hoping too, by teaching, like, it can give people the confidence to go out there, not fish the NWT for whatever, but any tournament, local tournaments even. There's a lot of people out there who want to fish those, but just don't know where to start, or there's just so much intimidation out there. And I just like to showing people like the easiest way, whether it's electronics, whether it's your tackle, go out there and catch fish. And that's what I'm proving by doing, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so, but yeah, I like the format. I like the areas we're going. I enjoy it. I just hope my championship trophy from last year gets fixed before the season starts. The trophy was broken when at the NWT championship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the big old fish on it. You guys just posted that picture of 2024 and had that big walleye on it.
Yeah, let's see the 2025. You got it, Russ?
Look.
Oh, yeah, it's busted at the top, isn't it?
Yeah, so I ain't even heard nothing about it.
I thought they just changed the trophy. I wouldn't even notice it.
Well, they changed it, all right. It's not the tournament director's fault, anything like that. When it was shipped, it was just shattered. It was shattered like that, but I still haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. Well, getting back to the 2027 changes, it makes sense. NWT is obviously the top tier. There's not many sports where you can just be a guy like me and go, hey, I'm going to enter this and compete for the pro, compete for whatever the pro prize pool is or whatever it is, the place is. So it does make sense that the top tier of competitive walleye fishing should be qualification based, and there they're spreading it out. They're going, all right, in NTC, there's spots for that. There's like 5 spots for something else. And then, of course, NWT reserves the right to add spots when they want. But yeah, it makes sense for sure.
Yeah, I like it. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully it just progresses. People make the right decisions and just go out there and fish. And we all of us as anglers too can take a part in just helping grow the sport through education. So I mean, we just need to get out there and do it. Hopefully it grows.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is you got the big, the beautiful Vexus behind you. We don't have to talk too much about that. Obviously, it's a great boat for you. Guys on tour, they run all kinds of different stuff. Another Vexus every year, right? What,
yep.
Did you ever have any other brands, or was it just Vexus from the
start? I started with the nitro boat. That was my first bass. First had a Tracker aluminum was my first one I bought. Then I went to a fiberglass nitro bass boat. Yep. And then I went a full year, I think. Nate Wolski and I went in together on a nitro ZV, deep V 20-footer. That, I mean, it did the job for us 100%. We did really well out of that boat. But me being new to fishing or new to boats, really, like, I love that boat. And, to me at the time, a boat was a boat, right? They're all good. Yeah. But, when I had a chance to get into a Vexus, like literally driving it through some 2-3 footers and driving it hard too. And I told Jim, my buddy that was with me, I was like, there's something missing here. Like, and I thought it was something negative. Like, honestly, I was like, there's something here that I'm completely missing there. I can't put my finger on it. A little bit later in the day, I'm like, holy crap, I think I know what it is. There's no vibration. There's no shuddering when you hit something. There's no creaking. There's nothing into that. It's just a solid boat. And so now, 4 years now, driving in these giant waters now and big waves, like, I use it. And I don't have still no vibration, no shuddering. And then just to, being able to go visit the facility in Arkansas to see actually how they're built, it completely makes sense. And to realize they're the only ones that use that injection process, it completely makes sense on why these boats are so solid.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's not to spend too much time on it, but again, I picked one up used because I was just a little, it's a sticker shock, right?
Yeah, like, 100%.
I mean, I dropping X amount of dollars on a brand new boat after not running a boat for a couple years at all, getting back into our to get a glass boat again. Had the opportunity to grab one, and it was a used boat. It was a guide's boat who had it. I mean, it was a 2-year-old boat, had 240 hours on it. And so there's no better way to see what was there after a guide had ran it for 2 seasons really hard. And I was just impressed. So that's why I've stuck with them. And they're just the other thing that's cool about Vexus that I found is that they're just a top-notch company. Yes. I mean, they're just an awesome company. I haven't had any warranty issues, but from what I've heard, they've just been awesome to stand behind their product and just not forget about each customer. So
they are from the tech level all the way up to the top person in the company. They want to make sure that their product is perfect. And, they're a newer company, so every company has its growing pains, but for them to want to jump right on these issues and make sure that they know the ins and outs of why things work and, more importantly, don't work and fix it, that means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I was told by someone to remind you about the freeboard on a Vexus. How do you fish with the tall freeboard on a Vexus in the wind? How do you fish so well with it blowing around? It was a joke. He goes,
no. Yeah, because like the wind catching the side and everything.
Yeah, the freeboard. Yeah.
Hey, I just got a strong Kraken trolling motor to whip me around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, someone warned me of that, and I was like, whatever.
No, but hey, that's the thing. It's funny you bring that up because I I have gotten that question like, oh, well, you would do so much better in this boat. It would do so much better in that boat, or you would do so much better with a 0 degree mount for your transducer. You would be so much better with this. I'm like, really? Like, I make do with what I have, but I mean, you know, I've done all right, and I it's hard for me to say those things, but like, but that's also what I'm trying to do, is teach people to utilize what they have. They don't have to have a Vexus.
Yeah.
They can have a tin boat, but have good electronics, and they're still going to go out there and be able to catch fish, and they don't need all the tackle in the world, you know. Yeah. So that's the thing too. So yeah, I'm fine in the wind. Bring the wind on. Like my last 2 championships, the wind's been stupid, and I used to hate fishing in wind, and then last year before every tournament, I'm like, let it blow.
Yeah, not worried about it.
No,
not worried. Yeah, it poses challenges, you know. So let's talk about THU.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Something that, you know, I've paid attention to, you know, and how people are so secretive, right? Especially the guys who make a living doing this. Like, there's a lot of secrecy when it comes to tips, tactics, because of, I mean, with good reason, right? Like that's some people's livelihood, 100%, right? So you've gone the opposite direction, and you're going, hey, I'm going to offer this education, and these are the tips that I use. These are the tactics that I use in order to be, you know, one of the best there is, period, right? Like, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So talk about THU. Tell us about that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, my idea, the idea behind what you just said. So you said there's good reason to be secretive, because it's some people's living. And when you say that, you mean fishing tournaments are some people's livings. That is completely the worst thing, that if somebody gets into tournament angling that can think they're going to make a living off tournament winnings, you're going to be upside down really, really fast. So for the people that were secretive, if it was for good reason, it's because maybe they'd go out and have a good tournament here or there, finish mid-pack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't their livelihood. Now, if it was their livelihood, for example, Gary Parsons, right? I've only had like one serious sit-down conversation with Gary Parsons, but no secrets. Well, he was using, right? But fishing was his livelihood, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't from winning tournaments. It was from promoting his baits, promoting a brand, promoting exactly what he is using to fish and to catch fish. That is where a person makes a livelihood in the fishing industry. And I learned that really quick, because I was doing well in tournaments. And I'm like thinking, dude, even if I won multiple of these tournaments a year, like on AIM, for example, and you know, that's not cutting it. Yeah. If I win one tournament on the NWT out of 5, maybe. Mm-hmm. But again, what you said earlier, this field we have some of the best anglers in the world that we're competing against. So what are the chances of winning one of those 5 tournaments? Yeah, it's not so great. Even if you get second place, it's $20,000. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. You're better off staying at home with your day job and making that money, or more than that money, by fishing all the tournaments in the year. So for me, when people say, oh, you know, they look at these fancy boat wraps and like, oh, they must be rich. There's only a handful of people making a living in this fishing industry. But for me to teach everything, that's where we're growing the industry. Like, because the people are going to buy baits now. It's not like I'm saying go buy a brand. Like, there's so many times people go on stage and say they caught it on this, and then they didn't. They caught it on something else. But because they won a tournament, everybody goes out and flocks to buy a certain bait. And then they can't catch them on it because it wasn't true. Yeah. But for me, it's like, here, from what I learned with forward-facing sonar, here's a jig, here's a plastic, here's a jig, here's a crawler. go out there and learn how to catch a fish, and those people in turn, they develop that trust. They're like, oh, this actually worked. And so that's why, with THU, with Tom Huynh University, I always had that teaching thing in the back of my mind. Like, even with fingernails, for 3 years, I traveled the country teaching for a brand of product, right? But then when it came to fishing, I'm like, I'm not anybody. But then when I started learning this electronics, I'm like, maybe, because I was getting questions daily, literally daily, on my electronics. People were thinking that I was using some kind of Garmin electronics that people wouldn't see for like 3 to 5 years. They were thinking I was using Japanese baits that haven't been on the market yet. I've never been able to use anything on the water that wasn't available to anybody else to buy. I want to make that clear. Never have. And so I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to develop an education platform. And YouTube was frustrating to me. There's so much good information out there, so much good information, but you have to go through so many videos to find exactly what you're looking for. And then when you find what you're looking for, it's like a 15 to 20 second blurb in like a 5 to 20 minute video. Yeah. And when you have to go recall that, it's so much searching for that video again, fast forward, rewinding, looking for that. So I took Harvard's platform for online education and utilized that in the Fishing's First curriculum-based education. That's exactly what it is. And so I structured it so that you have different modules, different topics, and underneath those topics are all high-definition videos. And the other thing that frustrated me about people trying to educate forward-facing sonar, there were so many people trying to say they're teaching people forward-facing sonar, but with still shots, right? Here's a screenshot, or they take their phone, take a camera of their screen, picture of their screen, post it, and they're like, here's a bass, here's a walleye and some weeds, here's this and that. They're complete lies. Not to say that what they took picture of were lies, but you can't teach like that, because your forward-facing sonar screen isn't still shots. It's constantly moving. Yeah. So to be able to teach somebody like what a walleye return looks like versus a bass versus a crappie versus a pike versus a muskie, or a smallmouth versus a largemouth, you have to have that screen moving in real time, just like you're looking at it in your boat. So that's why in every single one of my modules and every single one of my lessons, all of my screen recordings are recorded in high definition. The full screen of your computer or your phone is the live scope screen, and I inset myself into them on every single one of them, where I'm basically facing the student, explaining word for word, play by play of what they're looking at on the screen, so they're not lost, right? So the time, a lot of time put in that, but I made it so that it's so easy to follow, and very, very detailed, and people can resort back to the lessons as many times as they want, anytime they want. And I'm starting to get into body of water specific courses as well, and helping people break down these bodies of water, giving them my actual waypoints as well as an option, and just to get out there and be more effective. It's not about us fishing tournaments. It's not. It is not. It's because the tournament industry is as big as this bottle cap right here, and fishing industry is as big as this state, right? Yeah. So tournament guys, they're going to learn a lot from the university as well. They already are, and I'm perfectly fine with that, because like there's like 10 things going on in the front of my boat when I'm actively live scoping, looking for fish. Foot on the pedal, for example, eyes on the screen, my finger on that line on my reel ready to cast, and 7 more other things that I'm doing. And now it's just automatic. Yeah. But there's guys out there, for example, who have 9 of those things down. But by missing that one ingredient, you're not just taking your skill level down by 10%, you're almost taking it down by 75. I know it's not math, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
take those things out, you're like, it's a huge detriment. So if somebody watches what I'm doing, and I'm perfectly fine with it, I'm like, everything, I don't care. Because if they watch something, they're like, there's one little thing, they're like, holy crap, I didn't realize that before. And they utilize that, that's going to be their light bulb moment. And they're going to be like, holy crap, this is awesome. Right. And I'm all about it. Somebody asked me last year, are you afraid people are going to start catching up to us? Like the top guys live scoping. I'm like, it's fine, because guess what? I'm never going to be complacent. I'm always still going to want to win. So even if we max ourselves out with technology, I'm still going to try to find those ways to be more efficient. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't have any secrets when it comes to that, and I want everybody to learn, and that's just going to push me,
Yeah, make you elevate your game. And that's what this whole podcast is about, obviously, is talking to guys like you and learning. So it's fitting. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together on this, but a guy who's educating other people is kind of fits right in with what this whole podcast is about.
Yeah.
Educating people and learning. Yeah. I'm learning, I'm just a huge student. I think every fisherman is a student of it, or they're not going to get better. They're not going to evolve with the times. And so, for sure. So go ahead.
Oh, the university too. It's web-based. So it's not app-based. It's web-based so that updates can be done on the fly. So then, like if somebody goes through the courses, and then next time I log on and I add something to it, it's there. And then the website is fishthu.com. Okay. And then the individual courses, once a person enrolls in those, it's theirs forever, right? So sure. Then back a few months ago, I started the THU community. And basically what that is, that's an annual membership. In that community, though, it's literally the first of its kind. I don't know how anybody didn't think about it before, but number one, people get access to every single course that's in there, current and future. Mm-hmm. They get, and what's really unique about it, there's a live forum in there so people can ask questions anytime. But the most unique part, I do 2 live classes a month. So like through Zoom, and there's topics, or sometimes it's just a roundtable discussion where people can join on Zoom as part of the community. Sure. And literally ask me anything, and I show them anything. I put together the lessons just like you're going to school. And it comes down to roughly $30 when you do all the math. It comes roughly to $30 a class, and you're getting 2 a month all year long. So honestly, it's awesome and people can network with each other from around the country, and within the community as well. Yeah,
no, that's awesome, man. It is really cool for sure. You're doing some seminars, right, at the Shields. I just saw that at the Shields location. I'll be down the Sioux Falls one. I'll be there to see you. Check that out. So looking forward to that. Kind of in closing here, what words of advice do you have just for your average, because let's face it, most of us are not tournament fishermen or everyday fishermen. We're weekend warriors. 100%. We take vacations to go on fishing trips, get out there Saturdays or Sundays or our days off. What words of advice do you have that you think, if there's anything, I know it's a tough one, that could elevate everybody, make them a little bit better fishermen?
That is who I talk to, and that is who I, again, I very rarely through THU talk to anybody in the tournament world. They're either part of THU and too prideful to say so, which is fine with me. I don't care. But to the everyday angler who just want to go out there and catch more fish, we're all limited on time. We have our day jobs, and then so we get a chance to go after work in the summer for a couple hours. If we're near water, on the weekends, we have a couple days where we can go out or take our kids or grandkids, or like you said, we take a week off and go fishing. And we go fishing on Lake of the Woods, for example. We go fishing on Leech Lake. But these massive bodies of water that we hear about, and when we Google Leech Lake walleye fishing, Lake of the Woods walleye fishing, and YouTube pops up. What are we watching? Hook sets.
Yeah.
We're watching all of the positives, right? And so we're like, oh, we're going to go there. But what happens when we go there? The water is so big. It's so intimidating. You just got these electronics that you've only looked at a couple times because you're busy working 40 hours, 50 hours a week, right? So that is, don't ever think you're too good to learn something. And that's, I'm learning all the time, but then I'm turning around and teaching it. So honestly, not because it's me, literally not because it's me, learn your electronics, learn your forward facing sonar, because you're going to maximize your time on the water. For example, all you guys watching, I teach people how to set their settings. I don't care if you're professional. I don't care if you're everyday angler. I teach you how to set your settings in your system at the beginning of the season, and you don't change them at all throughout the season. No matter what all these top live scopers say to set your settings this way in the cloudy weather, windy weather, lakes, rivers, there's certain settings for each. There's not. Okay. I use one setting all year long, never change it, and I've done okay. The reason I say that is it takes the intimidation out of using your electronics. Just go fishing. And that's my word of advice. Don't get too wrapped up in all of these things. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Even if you're curious about the university and you don't want to enroll right away, shoot me a message on social media. I'll guide you. I'll help you point you in the right direction. But my word of advice is never stop learning. Don't be intimidated by your electronics. Somebody out there has figured them out, and I'm definitely willing to point you in the right direction, because nobody did that for me in the beginning. Nobody did that for me in the beginning. My first year of fishing tournaments, I would talk to guys at the dock. How's fishing going? How's this and that? And never got a straight answer. And then now I'm the one they're hollering at to get information. Guess what? I tell them, because I'll let you guys go. But one thing that I like to tell people is I grew up watching Michael Jordan. So living in Arkansas in the middle of the hills, we had this giant satellite dish. I don't even know why Dad got it, because we couldn't get any signal. We got 2 channels. One of them was WGN for some reason.
Chicago?
Yeah, out of Arkansas. And that was the only channel that came in the best. So, how lucky was that? Because we got to watch Michael Jordan almost every time we played, me and my brother. And so, after Jordan retired, somebody did an interview with a lot of the guys who had to guard him. And they said he was the best at mental games. But he had one game. And it was when Jordan was guarding the guy that was guarding him, when Jordan was on defense, he would tell the guy, he would just say, look, especially at the critical points of the game, he'd be like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dribble the ball down. I'm going to pull up on the right wing, switch to my left hand, go to the free throw line, do a turnaround jump shot. I'm going to spin to my left. He would do it every single time. But that was the mental game, because those guys were always thinking, is this going to be the time where he doesn't do it?
Yeah.
So I learned that in the very beginning, because I was showing everybody exactly what I was using, that lead head jig with the leech, lead head jig in the plastic. Nobody believed me. And I'm like, they don't believe me. But so that's what I'm saying is like that, just showing everybody exactly what I'm doing. There's still people who don't believe it, but it is what it is. And I'm just I just love that story, because it just reminds me.
It's like reverse psychology, or like
it is, but it's not. You just tell people the truth and they still don't believe you.
It's almost like in poker, like knowing you got the best hand and telling people, oh, I got pocket aces. They're never going to believe you. So you might as well tell them you got pocket aces. Cool. Heck yeah, man. Well, no, it's been really cool. Appreciate it. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
No problem, man.
And man, good luck this season. We'll see you around.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you. Congratulations on this.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, Tom.
Yep. All right.
All right, see you.